Welcome to Conversations. I'm Robin Fahr.
And I'm Shawn, Ailikian. Thanks for joining us today.
We have a great show for you today. This is in the spirit of Jane Austen, who could not join us today.
So she sent one of her associates along.
Really, she really did. Abigail Bok is here, who has not written this fabulous book, An Obstinate, Headstrong Girl.
Has not
written it because, as you can see, it's written by a lady, not to suggest that Abigail is not a lady, but you don't take complete control of this book, do you? Something happened. Tell us a little bit about what I'm talking about.
Well, really the whole process was, oh God, I'm freezing.
That's all right. You were approached by somebody.
I was driving along, and as I drive and I'm bored, I like to imagine that I am talking to Jane Austen and introducing the modern world to her, and suddenly there she was.
Well, how challenging is that, by the way? Because how do you even describe the modern world, let alone to someone as intellectual and so well-spoken as Jane Austen was?
Well, there she is. She pops into a car, and you have to explain a car to her. And the highway, and everything's going very fast, and she's used to much slower modes of transport. And then I'm wearing shocking clothes.
Oh, yes, you are, in pants of all things.
Good heavens. And so there was a lot to explain, but she's very bright, and she settled in quickly. And I didn't want to give away to her too much about her actual life in the 19th century because if she went back, I didn't want her to know what her end would be. But I did let on that I wanted to encourage her to keep writing because her works were very popular.
Yes.
And people always felt there weren't enough of them. And so as she continued to stay with me, I encouraged her to write about what she found in the modern world. And so it was the year 1999 when this happened. And she decided to take a look at the world around her and write one of her inimitable novels set in her new present time.
I love this.
So she's putting pen to paper, but you are the narrator.
No, she is the narrator. It's written in her own Georgian language.
I think Abigail just kind of helps her because Abigail has written a dictionary of Jane Austen's life and works. So it would make sense that if Jane Austen were to come back through some sort of time travel, that she would contact you.
Perhaps she was drawn to me, that I appreciated her world and her point of view. I don't know. But
so you're her modern day tour guide, let's say, and she is running with it.
Yes, and so she wrote this wonderful novel, and I facilitated its publication.
Oh, this is great.
Without giving away too much, can you tell us
tell us about An
the
Obstinate,
storyline?
Headstrong Girl. What was she getting at here?
What she found, I think, was very similar to the world and the kinds of conflicts that were in her classic Pride and Prejudice. And so she used the same characters as Pride and Prejudice, but she told a modern day story that has certain parallels to that story, but also certain differences, because she was very quick in picking up the ways of the modern world and learning about the ways characters of that type would play out in modern situations.
Could you just imagine just put yourself in her shoes for a minute and see how far the world has come, and even put yourself 100 years from now, and how are you going to receive the future, and just imagine what she's going through, the way you're describing her, envisioning all this.
Well, she's such a towering genius. She rarely let me see that she was terrified or overwhelmed by all the changes. She very rapidly picked up on what was absurd and amusing in modern manners and deftly put those into her story.
Well, I'm glad that this story is set in 1999. We were talking earlier about had she set it in the 21st century and seen all the texting and social media going on, I don't even know how she would have responded to that. I don't know how to respond to that.
I think it would have crimped her style because she writes in a certain ceremonious way.
Yes, there would be no abbreviating.
Could you imagine getting a text from Jane Austen?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if the phone would even recognize some of those
Yeah,
words.
no tweets.
Yeah, I think the 140 characters would be
Of
a
the
challenge.
tweet, yeah,
for
right,
her.
exactly.
But she did modernize the dialogue among her characters. She has a quick ear, but in her narrative, she maintained her traditional Georgian style and her very formal and balanced prose. So it's an interesting combination, and I like the way she juxtaposed modern situations with the more old-fashioned language. For instance, at one point, she describes a character going to the Burning Man festival. And describing
Whoa,
the
could you
Burning
imagine
Man
that?
festival
Yes.
in late 18th century prose is kind of an interesting.
I think her head would explode if she went to Burning Man, to be honest with you.
She wouldn't believe what she was seeing.
As when she visited the grand mansion of Rosings Park, she found herself equal to the situation.
That's lovely. I love the way it's just the way she has written this exactly as she would have written it back in the time where she really did exist. And it's just little tiny things that when Shawn and I were just going through the book earlier, just the way chapter 17, it was too much to hope that Kitty would keep to herself such thrilling events in the lives of her elder siblings. I mean, who talks like that anymore? But it's lyrical, it's musical, it sounds so much more beautiful.
It's almost like a romance novelist type of stuff
Yeah,
nowadays.
we don't talk like that anymore. I miss it.
No, and she didn't have her characters talk that way, but in her own narrative, she wrote as she was comfortable.
We should do a whole show channeling Jane Austen.
think
I would
we
probably
just-
last like
yeah.
30 seconds.
Yeah,
but you
yeah.
could do it.
I love this. You know, Abigail, I think this is such a clever concept. So your book would be written then for people who love Jane Austen, loved Pride and Prejudice, and are going to get a little bit the rest of the story as they keep on reading.
I think it works on its own terms as well as a modern novel. In a way, the Georgian language is a comment on modern manners, and it highlights the modernity of the situations by its old-fashioned character.
It's just beautifully
It
written.
is obviously aimed at people who know and love Jane Austen, and they would enjoy seeing the parallels and the echoes. But it isn't necessary to be a Jane Austen.
It's a great read. An obstinate, headstrong girl, not written by our guest today, Abigail Bok, but instead she's channeled by a lady, is what we're saying the author is, and it's just a
Very
wonderful
clever.
read. Very
Yes.
clever. Thanks so much for being on the show today. It's great to have you here. If you're interested in getting a copy of this book, check out her website, www.obstinateheadstronggirl.com, and find out all more about it. It's just great to have you here. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
And don't go away. We've got another author coming up right here on Conversations. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Conversations. Boy, do we have a treat for you.
Yeah, a treasure, I'd say.
Okay, but you have to do the heavy lifting.
Well, this is
heavy.
I'm going to show it from the side, by the way. Look how thick this book is, written by our very distinguished and great guest here today.
Dorothy Holm is here, the author of Peacock Alley. Dorothy, welcome to Conversations. I am so glad you're here because not only have you done a great thing in writing this book, but I think you are our first guest who is 95 years old.
Oh, really?
Yes.
95 years, soon to be 96
I'll be
this year.
96.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
God
Well,
bless her.
I know you are a real inspiration. When did you start writing Peacock Alley?
I began about in 1941 to set aside what I wanted to say, who I wanted to talk about, and I wrote it not for the public, but for my progeny, who should know where they came from, why they're here, and what is expected of them.
Your progeny being your grandchildren and children,
And
every
or-
generation
Or
thereafter.
any young person that's Chinese.
Okay.
they are there.
Wow.
And
now I'm going to check to see, it's a very big book, and I haven't opened it up yet, but I'm going to check to see that she didn't cheat and write, you know, in very big font, because this is a very, very big book.
Oh, she did
And
not
she
cheat at
didn't.
all. No,
And she
there's
didn't.
a lot going on here. It's set in Los Angeles
It's,
at the turn of the century.
it takes place in old Chinatown, where the station is now,
Okay.
and that was old Chinatown.
Is that where you grew up?
I grew up there. My grandmother was a very, very important person, and I don't know if I should say this.
Well, you
But
have to now.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
She was powerful in her own way because she had opium.
Okay.
Oh, which in
She smoked opium. I, as a little girl, took the best afternoon naps in bed with grandmother when she smoked her opium.
Interesting.
And it was beautiful. It's sweet.
But that wasn't as taboo then as it is now, right?
No,
it wasn't,
no, it
was more
wasn't.
commonplace.
Everybody in Chinatown, you have to realize that they're alien. They can't speak English. They have no money. They live hand to mouth, and opium was the way out.
It was a release.
Not evasion of reality, but it was a relaxation.
Almost
Yes.
medicinal, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and today people come home, they have a beer or
Right.
a glass of wine.
And opium was the thing.
Interesting.
So
And-
there's a lot of secrets in this book
it's a
that
good-
I'm
Oh,
assuming.
yes, there is.
yeah, and this was your life. Now we call it a novel, but Leah, who is the star of this show, is your grandma.
It was my real grandmother.
Real grandma.
And everything that happened in the book, I experienced because my grandmother was actually a very important person because of her
Access to
Opium.
opium.
yes.
Now you told us this before we started, by the way, before the show, that everybody you wrote about in the book, it's all factual, it's all true. You didn't write anything that would embarrass anybody. No one
No.
should be ashamed
No.
that they're in this book.
Not only that, if everybody in this book, they would recognize themselves, but only because they know I put in a little something that they know who it is.
Oh my
You don't find that nowadays.
But they don't know. But nobody else knows.
Oh, so it's almost like that behind the scenes thing.
Yeah.
Who has read the book from the family, and who has recognized themselves, and what did they think?
They're proud.
Good.
They're proud because, well, I've left out a lot of people, but the thing is, the people that are there and they can recognize themselves, they're proud.
Wow. So you started really collecting all of this information in 1941. When did you say, okay, it's ready for book form? You took it to Alive Book Publishing, who did all of the proper editing and develops this beautiful book. When does that occur? How old were you when you finally said it's book form time?
I guess I started writing putting the book together when I was 40 years old. I'm now 90, going on 96.
And when did they actually print the book? How long has a book been in
It
print?
was last year, I think, wasn't
Last
it?
year?
I don't know. I just
She said, here, take this, and,
Yeah.
and publish this.
You know what? Dates don't mean anything.
No, I imagine
The
not.
fact that I'm 95 don't mean a thing.
Oh, gosh.
I love that outlook. You know,
I
and
do
for everybody
too.
saying I just don't have enough time to do anything.
Yeah.
Take a note here that she's, you know, in her 90s still writing books.
And it says
You know?
copyright 2014. So this was something that you are such a role model for people who think I'm going to do something. I'm going to get around to it. And oh, it's too late now. It's never too late.
You know what? At 95 now, going on 96, I don't feel that I'm a senior citizen. I am as young as I was when I was 20.
Well, and
That's
you look,
lovely. Yeah.
you don't look like a senior
You
citizen
look
either. So
fabulous.
you're an inspiration, and keep up the good work. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that we, Robin and I, make it into your next book.
Yeah, well, we have
Well,
to be.
I'm doing a second book, and it's rough because I have to. There are many of the younger citizens in this book that I want to pull out and show what they are now grown up.
Oh, great idea, and develop that character.
Well, keep up the good work.
It's wonderful. It's called Peacock Alley, a novel, but we know the truth, autobiographical, from Dorothy Halm, who is 95 years old and writing another book. This is not her first work, by the way. An unbelievable, it's a great story. Whether you're Chinese American, if you like a good story, it's true. And the whole opium thing, it's just really exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on Conversations with us, Dorothy. Great to see you.
I'm glad to be here.
It's
Thank you,
wonderful to
Dorothy.
have you. If you'd like to take a look at the copy of the book, it's www.peacockalleybook.com. And that'll do it for this edition of Conversations. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have.
If you did enjoy our show, please visit us at facebook.com/tv30.org and click the like button.
Until next time, I'm Robin Fahr.
And I'm Shawn Ailikian. Thanks for joining us.
Stay tuned now for He Said, She Said, coming up next on Tri-Valley TV.